So I founded my company in 2009 when I was an assistant professor, and at the time it was the best way to really accelerate the innovation and achieve the goals that I had set for the technology. It also was one of the best ways actually to get funding, to buy better equipment, to be able to support my students and postdocs. And then eventually, they had so many ideas, then they wanted to stick around, and so we grew the company to be able to have full-time employees. I think balancing the fundamental research with also the translation into commercialization is really exciting, and it allows you to work on very different kinds of problems.
One of the ways that we were able to fund the company was through investment by the founders, but I was very fortunate to have gotten nominated for a prize that was called the Food Shot Global Prize, and that was I was surprised to be nominated, but then I was even more surprised to find out that I was one of the prize winners, and that prize was $250,000 to invest in our technology and sort of move it forward. So that was a pretty unique opportunity for us to kind of get started without having to go out and raise funds from the maybe traditional sources. We've also through the R2M program now, we've been participating in the Fuels program, which is a kind of a startup competition that also uses gets co-financing from the state of Colorado. So we're in the process of working in the group of finalists there, and so we will also receive some additional funding through the Fuels program. And after having got our CEO, we've been invited to various other things. We did we were awarded, I think, a $50,000 grant and some help from the soybean board. There was just a competition that was about sustainable agriculture that the U.S. soybean board put together, and so we entered that competition and got a small cash award, as well as some mentorship from other folks in the ag business sector who were part of that program.
Our company engaged in the venture capital model, where we actually took investment early on from seed funders to bridge and leverage our capabilities to build out a team. It's absolutely critical and very expensive to build the team that you need to grow your company.
I also would say I think that more investors are recognizing the value of investing in a female-owned company. So again, this is something that we own. We own that. And on one of our first slides in our pitch deck, we will say that we are a female-founded company, and I think that is an asset and something that we celebrate rather than looking as any kind of a impediment or detriment to our success. That we add so much value to this industry sector and so much value as entrepreneurs that we celebrate that and we look at that as being an asset, definitely.
I am very grateful for my investors. I will say the personal connections with your investors are really important, and being open and honest and upfront, not only when things go well, but when they don't, is really key. And I think that can help build a solid base of support for your company.
In terms of really full-time on this, I've been full-time on this for about 18 months. So prior to that, it takes me a year to secure any SBIR funding. Yeah, because I was still full-time as a postdoc. I need to secure funding for the company before I quit the company. Before I quit the postdoc. So really, early 2019 is when we are starting to be full-time. So right now we have 6 full-time people now with the company.
One of the other benefits of starting companies and working with startup companies is the availability of different funding sources. Specifically, my lab has actually been well funded through SBIR and STTR funding through several of these companies. And to this date, between myself and colleagues on campus, we've added over $6 million in funding to our labs based on those SBR, STTR types of grants. In addition, there have been a number of non-grant contract types of fundings that have also added to what we've been able to do from an academic perspective within our university laboratory. So it's a great additional source of funding for the activities that we do on the fundamental side.
So going through the research to market process and the customer discovery and ecosystem interview process, I met a lot of people. A lot of those people became collaborators and have helped me and our company, as well as CSU, attract additional funding for our research. Best example that I can think of is there's a local company that we met through the process, and we've probably submitted about 4 proposals together, and we still can continue to have a working relationship. In addition, when I use some of those skills about towards our technology, talking to program managers within the Department of Defense, and as a result, it took some time. It took an incubation period, much similar to what our federal grants take an incubation period. But now we received an STTR, we got phase 1 funding. And we got phase 2 funding, which is a pretty substantial grant. It's about $1.6 million of funding. So there's opportunities that open up by going through this process that are not in the traditional academic pathway that allowed me to diversify my research portfolio.
When my co-founders and I started Growcentia, one of the hardest things to do was to let go of some of the control. We brought in professional investors right at the beginning, and of course we had to give away some equity. And we also started building a team and surrounding ourselves with experts and investors. So that can be a really scary thing to do, to give up control of your baby. But I think it's really important. In some ways, you have to build a really strong team, and you have to recognize what you don't know and what your strengths are and what you're missing on that team. You have to fill in those gaps. And part of that is then it no longer is your company, it's our company, right? And you have to start thinking in the best interest, not just of yourself, but really of that whole team. And that team will grow over time if you're successful.